Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, based on wherever you're joining in from. My name is Claudia Esser, and I'm a member of the Manufacturing Transformation team here at Seco. And I have the great pleasure of hosting this live session today alongside our panel of experts. A very warm welcome to all of you to today's session on digitalization, which specifically addresses how to be successful with data driven manufacturing within complex manufacturing environments. We invite you to send in your questions during the session via the chat functions of your social channels, and we will come back to these questions together with our experts at the very end of this session. I am joined by Patrick Löfström, the solution owner and expert on machine monitoring systems, who has been with Seco for 7 years now, and Sujay Murthy, a manufacturing consultant who is very passionate about bridging the gap between operations and digital transformation. So, hi guys. First of all, welcome both of you, and how are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, doing great. We are really looking forward to sharing our journey with our audience and have some interesting discussions around this topic.
Well, I think we lost you, unfortunately, Patrick. It's great to have you here, guys. I think let's dive right in. So, why do you think digitalization is becoming more and more of a topic for small and medium-sized workshops out there today?
Well, it is so often that we hear this buzz phrase, data
Anyone?
is the new oil, or data is the new gold, or something similar. But many a times, it's so hard for machining workshops to relate with this and understand how they can leverage the power of data by starting small without having to make huge investments. Let's take a step back and imagine the humongous amounts of data we are exposed to every single day, be it the stock exchange behavior, news about current political situations, business news on your competitors, customers, or even the news on social media and whatnot. Most of us are exposed to this world of data without actively seeking for it, and in some cases, it might be extremely overwhelming. Then, if we start connecting this with our production environments, we often encourage businesses to think about how to structure the available data, how to identify the type of data that really matters in production, and how does this even help them at the end of the day, and eventually decide what is important as a decision maker to be able to see better results within their production, be it enhancing the productivity or addressing the quality issues or something else. How amazing would it be if you could make active choices on choosing and harnessing the right kind of information which brings value to your production? That would be all killer, no filler.
Yeah, absolutely. And a couple of years ago, we at Seco started to ponder around similar set of questions, even before we started out our digitalization journey. Any such journey should start by finding out the desired state, rather than just be another initiative steered by the fear of missing out.
Well said, and I agree. So let's give our audience a glimpse into our journey and let's share some tips on how to be successful with data-driven manufacturing.
Sounds great, but why don't we start by sharing one of our production unit managers' experience on how they've been able to drive change and empower people through digitalization in Italy? Let's hear from the world.
I think this is a smart idea, so why don't we take a look?
Hi, I'm Fabio Tontini, Production Unit Manager at one of the Seco sites in Italy. I take immense pleasure to share a part of our ongoing story of digitalization and give you a glimpse of how things have progressed for us, especially keeping our people in the mainframe. In 2018, we started by visualizing our shop floor using an in-house software system with the ability to zoom in all levels of production processes. This was done based on the interviews we had with people on multiple levels, starting from the shop floor to the management, to better understand their needs and what will make their life easier. With this insight and knowledge is accessible, we were able to improve our understanding on the processes, which in turn create autonomy for the operators to exactly know what they had to do on a daily basis. This has empowered them to take their own decision right on the shop floor, instead of depending on the managers all the time, which has released a lot of strain within the production environment and has helped the people to be confident and take their responsibility on different levels. It's important that the key people are on board while implementing any new digital tools in the shop floor. I believe that digital tools are just enablers for the transformation, but the real value is when the people buys into the idea and start using the tools on a regular basis. And in our experience, that makes the real difference.
Feels so good to hear these success stories creating synergy between the digital world and the physical world, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. But some production managers are really skeptical and have no idea where or how to start. And I believe that this is where Seco manufacturing transformation can help.
Truly. Now that we've heard from Fabio on their ongoing journey of digitalization, Patrick, why don't you tell our audience on how exactly can workshops similar to ours make this happen, and even maybe share some key points on how to kickstart the journey?
Yeah, of course. One of the keys to make this happen is, I believe, to start small. I would like to explain this a bit more by breaking this down into 5 simple steps. Understand the needs of your people on the production shop floor and get valuable information that way. Ask them what they think could be to make their life easier. One good way to do this is to include all your production people by conducting simple interviews and find out the 3 biggest challenges they have during the day. It is as really as simple as talking to each other. Assessing the machine status. Go around your shop floor and see for yourself what is really happening on each machine. Meaning, are the machines working? Are they broken down, idle, in setup, etc.? The main reason to do this is to collect the status of each machine at a specific time. Then you do this, try not to solve any of the problems you might see. It's so natural to jump onto problem solving before getting enough information from your shop floor. This is something you must avoid. Identify the problems based on your observation. This can range anywhere between machines not running as you said, or being broken down, material not available, or operators not being at the machines at all. It could also be something that happens earlier in the flow, even before the order reaches the machine for production. Whatever the reason, it's important to understand where in the flow this is happening. With this knowledge, we are prepared for the next step. That is to map and aggregate all the above collected information. And this is where you need to put it all together and tie down all the different information along with the timeline you collected it. For example, build a simple Gantt chart which shows when and where did the problem arise? How long did it take for people to figure this out and to fix it? And finally, the total time to fix the problem overall. Now, this is where you will begin to see certain patterns and be able to point out the actions required to fix the problem. It is really important to break this down into manageable pieces. It could be as simple as having a vending machine closer to a cell in order for the maintenance, having all required tools and consumables nearby and in stock for the next maintenance session. This is just one example off the top of my mind. The next thing to do is to find the digital solution that would facilitate the process of information gathering in real time throughout the shop floor. This process can be daunting and seem like a lot of work, but once you do this on one machine or one specific area, you will then have the knowledge and experience to use the right kind of systems together with their functionalities, which would further help you to have a better visibility and to identify and target your continuous improvement efforts and be able to focus on where it matters the most.
That was a great summary on how to kickstart the journey. In fact, this is where you map the machining process, which could be further expanded to the entire shop floor to enhance your KPIs such as on time delivery, quality, and more.
Yeah, I think so too. Uh, could you summarize the real value this could bring to our audience?
Hmm.
Yeah, sure. In my opinion, number one, it's possible to know the health of the manufacturing processes or that of the machines in real time and better understand the reasons for breakdowns, idle times, and other things happening around the machines. Then, number two, these steps will guide you to carry out continuous improvement efforts because you will be able to see different problems in different areas, even though it really depends on a lot of factors such as machines, people, flows, etc. Finally, it is beneficial to consolidate all this information into one place, and therefore, it is important to find the right kind of solution to enable you to do this. Automatic report generation on a regular basis will enable you to see the patterns, identify the focus areas to improve, and keep it going. By following these simple steps, you can be on top of your any downtime situations in your workshop, which will in turn help you to target your continuous improvement programs to enhance productivity at the end of the day. Um, well, this is an agile approach to tune your workshop by taking small steps towards digitalization and finding the right solution for it. And as we heard from Fabio earlier, it is all about finding synergies between people and systems so that digitalization works for people's needs and not the other way around.
I absolutely agree. And I think this is for sure one of the key messages we want our audience to take away today. One thing is to start the journey, but another thing is to expand it to the shop floor by taking result-oriented approach if workshops have to be successful in digitalization. I would suggest to look into another example, this time from our production manager in France, who has been actively driving digitalization and improving their KPIs, mainly focusing on time delivery and delivery precision.
Bonjour, I'm David Laperoni, Production Unit Director at Seco Bourg site in France. I'm really excited to share a part of our digitalization journey and our learnings with all of you there. One of the main focus areas for us was to improve the delivery performance. Our site produces both standard and custom products within a high mix, low volume environment, and the biggest challenge was to deliver custom orders on time with a very high variability of our product mix. Even though we had our own ERP, we were manually managing priorities between the orders, which were due to variances in lead times, outsourcing process steps, and the need to optimize the machine utilization. We lacked visibility of the order's progress and the flow, and we were basically pushing the orders rather than pulling them. Early 2020, we have implemented a manufacturing execution system, an MES, in addition to the ERP, enabling detailed order management, which also provides the real-time status of all ongoing orders in a workshop and the visualization of all levels, from machine level to site level. This is helping operators to know exactly what he or she needs to work on at any point in the day. This helped in significantly improving our OTDs that has increased from 60% to more than 95% and to stabilize the performance. Another focus area was to have a continuous digital chain in place from design stage, the CAD design, and the manufacturing stage, the milling. We wanted to move away from manual tool selection based on manufacturing orders and avoid multiple references for the same tool. For the past 2 years, we progressively implemented TDM system and connected that with NX solutions and the machines in the workshop. The solution covers tools, tool support, and mounting features. This creates accurate linking between the programs and the tooling list on the machines and enable configuration control to make sure that the operators are using the latest validated tools or programs. We are having now a unique tool database, avoiding multiple references for the same tool, providing detailed information and description of the tool, and managing interface to the 5X machine head.
What we just heard from David is that using the 5 simple steps, as Patrick explained earlier, and doing the same for the entire order flow, we will have a strong foundation to digitalize the entire production shop floor, complemented with a data-driven continuous improvement approach.
This seems interesting, and I think it would be great if you could elaborate a bit more on how to apply this in your own environment.
Absolutely. One of the best ways to extend the journey is to start by understanding the issues and the kind of environment you operate, including your customer expectations. If we look at David's case, their custom orders had different lead times and order quantities, and all of these custom orders are running in parallel, which sort of forces them to dedicate few machines on these at least for a week, which then blocked orders getting into the shop floor, easily increasing the overall lead times and reducing on-time delivery. And this is the most common type of complexity we generally observe within the high-mix, low-volume environments, and it is key that you understand the conditions you operate in. Then deep dive into your processes to know the real-time status of the orders, because most times workshops have no idea whether the orders are waiting, ongoing, or even completed. This was the case even for David's workshop, so it is extremely important for workshops to build visibility into their work, which sort of sets the tone for the rest of the steps to follow.
Okay, so now when we have understood the issues, the environment, and have worked on building visibility, what can we really do with this?
Interesting. Then the third step is to make the issues clearly visible, to analyze them. And one of the ways to do this is to use a suitable manufacturing execution system. This will further highlight the issues within your daily work, which would encourage you to start analyzing the reasons behind them. But please do remember, at this stage, it is more important to know what to analyze and not the specific digital solution itself. Meaning, analysis should primarily focus on where the order is, how long did the order wait before the working station, how many steps are remaining, and things like that. What I just mentioned is the starting point of process mining, which aids the analysis of operational processes purely based on event logs. And this is becoming another hot topic for manufacturers these days.
Sounds great. But what about the question, what software or system should I specifically use? Can we say something about that?
Good question, and we do get this a lot. But honestly, it really depends on the shop floor environment, and there is no one-size-fits-all approach here. Once they know what is it that they are interested to measure and what exactly they need to analyze, of course, we can help them to pick the right software or the platform for the right job, even leveraging our partner network, but only after assessing their conditions. So on a side note, please feel free to reach out to us if you need help doing that. But again, coming back to the next step is to collect data for continuous improvement projects and to make decisions on the shop floor. One way to do this is by combining the information you get from monitoring your machines or processes together with planning and ERP systems. Basically, you are connecting different information sources here, which sort of creates the platform to build a KPI-driven improvement cycle and eventually helps people to make data-driven decisions on the shop floor. And finally, close the loop and implement the decisions made, be it changing the tool setup or modifying the order flow approaches or something else. For instance, in David's case, they managed to set the right promised delivery date from the beginning before the order enters the production. And the multiple stakeholders involved used a pull system to pick the right orders to be released into the production based on the promised delivery dates. So you see, it's not all about having data scientists and sophisticated analytics in place. Any transformation has to go through different phases so that people get confidence with the systems and the approach, and then they will be eager to scale it up once they start to see the benefits of using data for decision making and also for improvement projects.
Yeah, I think it's a good way of expand the journey throughout your shop floor. And it is said that the total amount of data generated up until 2003, it's being generated every 10 minutes today. So we're generating so much event data, choosing the right order from an ERP, loading tools onto machines, real-time machining data, generating CAM files, order material. Yeah, the list goes on.
True. I recently came across a study from IBM, and they estimate that by 2025, the business world will have 150 zettabytes of data waiting to be analyzed. Even though machining would contribute a fraction of it, but come on, it's still a big chunk of data we are talking about here. So, my final statement would be start small, start now, so that you don't lose your competitive edge in this modern day digital world. And I think my time is up.
Well, thank you guys. This was a great overview on how to start small and make the most of your data available in their workshops. So I'm really sure that this is going to be valuable inspiration for workshops wanting to jumpstart their digitalization journey. But looking at the time now, I think it's really time that we just take a step back and think about everything that we've heard from Patrick and Sujay about the impact of data in manufacturing. And just imagine what you would be able to do with this kind of data from your own workshop. And if you'd like to know more, please get in touch and we would be more than happy to help you with your journey. So let's open the session now for questions you might have. So please feel free to leave them in the chat if you haven't done already. I'm going to check the channels now and see what questions have been flowing in. And we will take as many questions as possible. And for the rest, we are happy to respond via email if you'd like. So let me pull up a question which I got here in the chat. And I think this is more directed to you, Patrick.
Okay.
So we have collected all this information manually over the last few years, and we have improved our efficiency by already 10%. So why should we even go for a digital solution now?
Imagine what you can do if you already have achieved. You said 10% in effectiveness. So think what you can do with that person's doing that today. So you have resources go and collect the log files from machines, perhaps, or aggregating the data in ways so that you can see and follow up on the things that happens during your machining process. If this could be collected automatically and 2 times per second, 24/7, and automated aggregation and report making out of this information, you could have a lot of resources doing other things, more value-added things, and solving the problems instead of identifying them.
Well, thank you for this insight. And I will pick up the next question. And this one is coming more in your direction, Sujay. So we've got this question: how long does it take for us to start seeing first results, be it the implementation being done or actually start analyzing the data?
That's a very good question, but it does depend on the scope chosen, obviously, because also what we do here is to recommend companies or workshops to start with any sort of implementation or digitalization activities with just one machine or a particular zone in the production, so that they get a faster understanding on the processes itself. I can even take an example just to give a feeling of a real case. What happened in France recently. It took a couple of weeks to implement the system, integrate it with their current infrastructure, and a month to train their people and make sure that they are very comfortable to use these platforms. And then it was about 1 or 2 months. They were already seeing some results in terms of better production flows and saved labor time. It can be anything around these topics, but it really depends on the scope, like I said.
Okay, great. Thank you. Another question coming in, which has been submitted by LinkedIn. How establishing industrial IoT ecosystem and data stream, and how can Seco be helping digital transformation?
If you will go into the hardware part of this and building your IoT infrastructure, there is not our excellence, I would say, right at the moment, but utilizing that and to harness the information that you get from this, there is where we can make a difference in a project together with you. With that said, we have a few solutions that we have and can manage and install at customer sites. It is vending systems, tool identification, machine monitoring, for instance. And together with a resource at your own facility or within a project group, we can have an integration phase for these kind of solutions into your own IoT framework. But we're not specialists in hardware buildup of these kind of networks. But yeah, I don't. I'm
Sujay,
not
would you
sure if
like
that
to
was
add on?
the answer.
Sujay, would you like to add on something on maybe the scope of manufacturing transformation could bring into this question?
Um, well, just to address the entire scope itself, we can always start by small evaluations. We go into the shop floor and we can even check the maturity, what they have in their production, sort of analyze, okay, what sort of system do they already have, and try to understand what kind of middleware might be fitting their need. And through this basic evaluation, which might go for about 2 days or even for a week, then we might be able to come back and suggest something. But we need to be there to sort of, see the real situation.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's go to another question which was submitted by LinkedIn. This is coming from Olop, and he's asking how to protect from data transfer slowly of virus.
Patrick?
In our okay, in the solution that we provide, or in the solutions that we have, there are strict rules on how the information is accessed and how the structure and the rules for that information transportation is done. So, for instance, in the gateway that we add at the customer shop floor, it's a secure firewall, and you don't have direct access to any machines that are monitored. So the only information flow allowed is from the machines to the gateway, and then from the gateway, secured with encryption, and in the tunnel, it's sent to the receiving part. So in that case, for viruses to enter is quite low. And as I said before, if you are on the verge of doing an IoT project on your total shop floor and from different kind of vendors, then you need to have that structure in place yourselves and really have a good understanding and a rule set to try to avoid these kind of things.
Well, thank you. And I think it's time for one last question. How can digital twins help in taking realistic decisions on the shop floor?
Patrick, do you want to take that, or should
I can take that. It will be so much easier to do the simulations. And the term digital twin can be used so widely and broadly. So it is anything from actually be able to see and to foresee the production process. If you collect the information and you know what will happen if you do certain things, that is kind of a digital twin, all the way to have the whole production simulated in different kind of softwares, and directly from the CAM model do the entire production process on that model, and see if you have any problems, or you can even see the material flow, and you can have the whole scale of things inside that model. But all of this talk also is I feel quite daunting. So I would go back to the thing that we said in the beginning of starting out small, and do that for one machine, or for one particular thing that you need to know. It could be processing a new type of detail that you're doing in a new machine. For instance, you perhaps have just bought a 5-axis machine, then do that and do the processing and the things on the CAM model before you go out to the machine.
So
that's
one step at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, our time is up, unfortunately. This has been a really wonderful session, guys, and thanks you for this vital exchange on this very important topic. And well, thanks everyone out there for these great questions. We would have loved to take even more. Well, please help us. Please help us in improving our services by kindly filling out this survey. So this will give us the opportunity to tailor our services even better to your needs. And if you're interested in learning more about manufacturing transformation, visit one of our next live sessions here, either on LinkedIn or another social channel, or register for our upcoming webinar, which will be on June 29th and which will be focusing on on complex manufacturing. Well, thanks everyone, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.